The charred corpses of 1 trillion Krell warriors floated in the void of space around Earth, silent testaments to the savagery and relentlessness of the human race. Aboard a sleek Denobulan spacecraft, Kellar and his assistant Zorn reviewed a dossier on humanity as they approached the blue planet. Zorn's frills flared in confusion. "I don't understand, Kellar. How can a species from a Deathworld be advanced enough to join the Galactic Council?" Kellar's long, serpentine neck twisted as he sighed. He tapped a button, bringing up a hologram of Earth slowly rotating. "It's a long story, Zorn. Earth wasn't always known as a death world. When we first discovered humans, we thought them primitive and violent, barely out of their atomic age." Kellar's eyes narrowed. "But then the Krell invaded." Zorn gasped. "The Krell? The ones who nearly conquered the galaxy?" Kellar nodded gravely, his iridescent scales shimmering. "The Krell saw Earth as an easy target, a stepping stone to the rest of the Council's territory. They expected to conquer the planet in mere days." He paused, his gaze intense. They were wrong. The hologram shifted, displaying scenes of brutal warfare. Humans in exoskeletons fought against towering Krell warriors amidst the ruins of cities. Kellar's voice grew somber. What we didn't know then was that Earth had shaped humanity into the ultimate survivors. The Krell invasion was the crucible that forged humanity's resolve and ingenuity. Zorn watched the battles with wide eyes. "What happened?" "Humanity united against the Krell threat. They adapted, innovated, and unleashed weapons we had never seen before. In the end, the Krell fleet was annihilated, their ground forces slaughtered to the last." Kellar shut off the hologram. "And now, the Council has invited humanity to join our ranks. We must tread carefully, Zorn. Earth may be a death world, but it has produced a species that even the mighty Krell could not defeat. Only the stars know what humanity may do if this Council meeting goes poorly. We're talking tense negotiations with a race that defeated the Krell, and the future balance of interstellar power hangs in the balance. If humanity joins us, we may yet know galactic peace. But if this goes badly and we alienate them, we may have made the most dangerous enemy in the galaxy. The stakes have never been higher." Zorn's eye stalks widened. "Incredible. They dug entire cities underground in preparation for an alien invasion, and to think we once thought of them as primitives." Kellar nodded, his frills fluttering. "Indeed. They anticipated the need for secure bunkers and supply caches. When the Krell struck, the humans retreated to these underground strongholds. While the surface burned, they regrouped, planned, and launched devastating counterattacks." The hologram shifted, displaying scenes of human strike teams emerging from hidden tunnels, ambushing Krell patrols with salvaged alien weapons. Kellar gestured at the footage. "Observe their tactics, Zorn. See how they used the underground network to move undetected, striking at the Krell's weak points before vanishing back into the depths. It was a kind of warfare the Krell had never encountered." Zorn leaned closer, his mandibles slack with amazement. "And you said they reverse-engineered Krell technology. How did they manage such a feat in the middle of a war?" "Desperation and brilliance in equal measure," Kellar replied. "The humans realized that their own weapons were ineffective against Krell armor, so they captured enemy equipment, studying it in secret labs deep underground. In a matter of weeks, they had cracked the secrets of Krell shielding and weaponry." The footage changed again, showing human soldiers wielding pulsing energy rifles, their armor glowing with the same hue as Krell battleplate. Kellar's voice took on a tone of reverence. With Krell technology in hand, the humans began to turn the tide. They upgraded their fighters, tanks, and warships. Soon, they were meeting the Krell on equal footing, despite the invaders' superior numbers. It was a sight unlike any the galaxy had seen before. A species in the span of a single war, elevating themselves from primitives to peers of the most advanced race in the cosmos. Zorn shook his head in disbelief. "And to think, we almost wrote them off as just another doomed race. If they hadn't had those bunkers, those stockpiles, then the Krell would have crushed them, and we would have been next," Kellar finished grimly. In their foresight and tenacity, the humans may well have saved the entire Galactic Council. Zorn's eyes widened, his frills standing on end. They weaponized their own planet? How is that even possible? Kalar leaned back, his scales shimmering with excitement. It was a desperate gambit, but a brilliant one. The humans knew they couldn't match the Krell ship for ship, so they turned to their homeworld for a solution. Using their underground network, they began constructing massive railguns, powerful enough to launch projectiles into orbit. He brought up a schematic of the weapon, a colossal barrel extending deep into the Earth. These weren't just any projectiles, mind you. The humans packed them with nuclear warheads, turning each one into a miniature asteroid. They timed their launches to coincide with the orbital paths of the Krell ships, essentially turning Earth into a giant slingshot. Zorn's mandibles clicked in astonishment. And it worked. They managed to hit the Krell ships with these projectiles? Kellar nodded, a fierce grin spreading across his face. Oh, it worked all right. The Krell never saw it coming. Their ships were designed to withstand the rigors of space combat, but they had no defense against the sheer kinetic impact of a nuclear-tipped projectile moving at orbital velocities. The first volley crippled a dozen ships, sending them tumbling out of orbit. He zoomed in on the star map, highlighting the chaos that erupted in the Krell staging area. The humans didn't stop there. They kept launching, sending a steady stream of projectiles into the Krell fleet. At the same time, their captured ships and makeshift fighters attacked from all sides, picking off the disoriented and damaged Krell vessels. Zorn shook his head in wonder. I can scarcely believe it. To turn an entire planet into a weapon, the sheer audacity of it is staggering. That's humanity for you, Kilar said, his tone a mix of admiration and wariness. They're unpredictable, resourceful, and utterly determined when their backs are against the wall. The Krell learned that lesson the hard way. He pointed at the red dwarf system, where the icon of the Krell shipyard blinked out of existence. With their reinforcements destroyed, and their fleet in disarray, the Krell had no choice but to retreat. The humans had won, against all odds. They had beaten back the most fearsome military power in the galaxy, and they had done it by weaponizing their own world. Zorn stared at the hologram in stunned silence, his scales paling to a sickly grey. By the star, they sacrificed their own people, their own cities, to defeat the Krell. Kellar nodded solemnly. It was a desperate move, born of even more desperate times. The humans knew that if the Krell weren't stopped at Earth, the rest of the galaxy would fall. They made the hard choice, the only choice they felt they had. He zoomed in on the simulation, showing the tungsten rods punching through Krell ships like bullets through paper. The destroyed vessels tumbled from orbit, trailing fire and debris. Can you imagine it, Zorn? The sheer chaos, the destruction? Krell ships raining down like meteors, the skies alight with the fires of their demise, and amidst it all, the humans, bloodied but unbowed, standing defiant among the ruins of their cities. Zorn shook his head, his frills quivering. I can't even begin to fathom the resolve that must have taken, to knowingly bring such devastation upon themselves. That's the thing about humans, Keller said, his voice a mix of reverence and fear. When pushed to the brink, there's nothing they won't do to survive, no sacrifice too great, no plan too audacious. They'll burn their own world to ash if that's what it takes to win. He leaned forward, his eyes intense. And that, Zorn, is why we must tread carefully. A species capable of such acts now standing on the galactic stage. They could be our greatest allies, or our worst nightmares. Zorn swallowed hard, his gaze fixed on the hologram of Earth, still smouldering from the scars of war. I understand now why the Council is so keen to bring them into the fold. Better to have them as friends than foes. Indeed, Kalar agreed, his scales shimmering with unease. But even as friends we must be wary, for if humanity ever turns its sights on us, well, let's just say the Krell's fate may seem a mercy by comparison. The two aliens sat in silence, contemplating the images of destruction and the implications of humanity's rise. The future, once so certain, now seemed fraught with both promise and peril. And at the center of it all, the enigma of Earth, a world that had proven itself the crucible of warriors, survivors, and perhaps the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever known. Zorn's mandibles clicked softly, his eyes fixed on the blue planet growing larger in the viewscreen. I can scarcely imagine what it must have been like for them, in the aftermath of such a Pyrrhic victory. To look upon their world, once vibrant and teeming with life, now a shattered husk. Kellar nodded, his scales shimmering with a somber hue. It was a sight that haunted even the most battle-hardened among us. The Galactic Council dispatched aid ships, laden with food, medicine, and materials for rebuilding. We thought the humans would welcome our assistance, grateful for the chance to rebuild their civilization with the help of their galactic neighbors. He shook his head, a wry chuckle escaping his throat. How naive we were. The humans, they refused our aid outright. Their leaders, those that remained, sent a message that rang throughout the galaxy. They said, "We appreciate the Council's offer, but we will rebuild on our own terms. Earth is our home, and we will be the ones to heal her wounds." Zorn's frills flared in surprise. They refused aid, even in their darkest hour? Pride, Kellar said, the word heavy with meaning. Pride and a deep-seated mistrust of the very aliens they had just saved. The war had changed them, Zorn, hardened them in ways we couldn't begin to understand. They had looked into the abyss, had sacrificed everything to protect their world, and in doing so they had become something different. He gestured to the planet below, its surface marred by the scars of war. They rebuilt, slowly but surely. Their cities rose from the ashes, their people united in a way they had never been before. But they did so in isolation, turning their backs on the galactic community that had once dismissed them as primitives. Zorn shifted in his seat, a sense of unease creeping into his voice. And now we're here, attempting to bridge the gap that has grown between us. Do you think they'll even listen to what we have to say? Kellar sighed, his gaze fixed on the rapidly approaching planet. I don't know, Zorn. The humans, they've become something of an enigma. They guard their secrets closely. Their technology and tactics a mystery to even the most advanced among us. But one thing is certain. He turned to face his companion, his eyes glinting with a mix of respect and apprehension. They are not the same species we once knew. The war, the sacrifices they made, it changed them in ways we may never fully comprehend. And as we prepare to meet them face to face, for the first time in generations we must tread carefully. For the future of our galaxy may well depend on the outcome of this fateful encounter. As the ship entered Earth's atmosphere, the two aliens fell silent, each lost in their own thoughts. The weight of history hung heavy in the air, the echoes of a war that had reshaped the very fabric of the universe. And somewhere below, on the surface of a world forever altered by the crucible of conflict, the humans waited, their eyes turned skyward, ready to face whatever destiny had in store. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.